that push-pull mechanism is really the core of what you could call suffering, the seeking and resisting mechanism. So if we can discover the way in which what we want is already here, rather, then of course that dissolves the suffering. So there's a lot of really interesting ways that we do that. Mostly it's through invoking a personal experience through meditation. The words in the guided meditation are intended to invoke. It's not so much intended to describe truth or reality, but more so to invoke your own personal experience that's helpful in relation to you and your life and the unique experiences that you have. Okay, guys. Well, if everyone is ready, we'll go ahead and begin, of course. If you like, put your phone on mute so you're not disturbed through the meditation. And, of course, keep your microphone on mute during the meditation as to not disturb each other. However, I like the idea, because it's so true in my own experience too. Even though we're saying, mute your phone, you don't have to. And even though traditionally in meditation you sit in a certain posture, we don't have to. Of course, traditionally in meditation too, we certainly wouldn't be working or walking. But I encourage people to do that if that's what they're called to do whilst playing this in the background. And certainly a lot of us have ideas that meditation means no thinking, which meditation can lead to that. But if that's the goal at first, it makes it even harder to meditate. If the goal is to not have thought, then it will be a challenging meditation in most cases. So, meditation in the way that we describe it is just recognizing what is already here, what is already happening, and noticing what the results of that is, how we experience ourselves differently just by becoming more connected with the way things already are. Just seeing how we may feel differently in our body, even though we're not going for a different experience. That's not our intention. Even though our intention isn't for a different feeling in the body, we notice what the result is of settling into what's already here and already happening. And not only what the feeling difference is, but the way our mind might start to behave differently. That's a fascinating thing to witness. How previously we were our mind is dragging us to where salvation is, where the happiness is, where the peace is, what it's seeking, where it wants to go. Believing that when it gets there, it will experience the peace, it will experience the happiness, it will experience the fulfillment. All the while suspending the peace, the happiness, and the fulfillment as it drags us along with its seeking. So rather than that, even though that can be helpful, of course, to do in our lives, to take action and to move forward and to initiate, and it's also sometimes we can get caught in that in a way that kind of causes us to long suffer. It causes a tension in our body and in our emotional and energetic system that we can begin to dissolve if that's what we want. And so that's what we explore by, rather than continuing to invest in our thoughts that say happiness, fulfillment, peace will happen when we get to this point. We instead just start to invest in the point that we're already at. What is already here. What is already happening. So, just as we don't need to sit in any particular way during our meditation, we also can keep our eyes open if we like, or close our eyes. It doesn't really matter. Again, the thing that's most important is to look for and become more directly aware of what is already here, what is already happening. And part of what is already here and is already happening is thoughts. That no matter what we place our attention on, thought will have something to say about that. We're not looking to get rid of these thoughts. If we are gazing at something across the room, maybe it's the corner of the room is a mess, we'll have thoughts that say, you should have cleaned that up by now. We're not looking to get rid of these thoughts. That would just be more seeking and resisting. Instead, we're looking to notice that thought also as what's already here, what's already happening. Or, if we feel a feeling, very quickly our mind will come up with a label or a description about this feeling, what it means, what we've always done when we felt that in the past. We don't need to get rid of these labels or descriptions, even if they're negative, even if they say, you're more spiritual than that, or you should have already processed through and evolved from these feelings. But instead, just notice these thoughts also, including them also in with what's already here. What's already happening. Similarly, we may also hear a sound. Perhaps we hear the wind blowing. A trash truck in the distance. The mailman. People talking in another room. Animals scurrying about. But notice when that very label attempts to, or rather, rises up at the same time that the sound does, giving a label and a definition. It's a very powerful point in the practice. Just the witnessing of thought rising up nearly simultaneously with the sound we hear. But rather than referring to that label or description, we're just wanting to see the two arise almost simultaneously. And that thought isn't intending to truthfully label or describe anything about our experience or reality, but more so, just echo what it has always echoed previously. Again, anytime thought arises almost simultaneously with any sight, feeling, sound, or otherwise, thought isn't attempting to accurately define our life or reality, but more so just to innocently echo that which it has always echoed previously.